I had a question about the church's teaching on natural family planning. Um, Basically, I don't understand how it's any different than using traditional birth control methods. And if I understand correctly, the church does not allow you to use it in place of, let's say, a condom. That would be against church teaching. So it seems like everyone is actually misusing it in the church. Is that right?
Well, whether there are some particular people using natural family planning, which involves avoiding sexual intercourse during fertile periods of the woman in order to avoid pregnancy, there are some people who are engaging in that sort of behavior in an immoral way because of selfish reasons. But the immorality is due to the selfish reasons, not the abstaining from sexual intercourse during fertile periods because they don't want to have a child at that particular moment. So to answer the question specifically with regard to why contraception is wrong and this method of abstaining from pregnancies, natural family planning is not, is because in contraception, Paul, you have a voluntary use of the sexual power while actively thwarting, impeding, blocking the achievement of the natural end of that power that God has designed it for. To engage in that sort of behavior is to pervert the order that God has bestowed upon that particular natural power. In this case, the sexual power. So it's to act against the order that reason discovers by the natural light of human reason. It's an order that God has established, which constitutes, by the way, our very good as human beings. So to directly thwart that order, to impose disorder, is to pervert it and thereby act against. It's a violent act against our good as human beings. In natural family planning, Paul, what you have is the opposite. You do not have any active thwarting of the action or behavior in achieving its goal of procreation. There is nothing that the couple is doing to manipulate the activity or the behavior and use the sexual power while actively blocking the achievement of procreation. There's nothing of the sort that's being done there. Rather, the couple is not engaging in behavior in the sexual act in order to avoid pregnancy. And so hopefully you can see the difference there. In contraception, there is a willful perversion of the order. And in natural family planning, Paul, the spouses are actually not engaging the sexual power and not perverting the sexual order, the order that God has bestowed upon our sexual powers. And so for this reason, there is an essential difference between the kind of activity that contraception is and the kind of action that natural family planning is. Now, one last thought, and then maybe I'll get your comments as a response. It is true that couples using contraception and couples using natural family planning have the same intention, avoid pregnancy, and it's also possible that both of those couples have good reasons to abstain from pregnancy, to not get pregnant and conceive a child at that time. But notice here, Paul, the moral analysis doesn't start with the intentions of the couples. The moral analysis has to start with the behaviors themselves and asking the question, are the behaviors themselves consistent with God's design or not? Consistent with the order of good for our sexual powers or not? And in contraception, we see that behavior is not consistent with the order of good for our sexual powers, whereas in natural family planning, there is a consistency with the order that God has bestowed upon our sexual powers, because there's no perversion of the order or the behavior or the sexual power from achieving its natural end. And here's an analogy. Consider that I eat food only to vomit it up in order to avoid the food, my body assimilating the nutrients of the food. Now compare that action to me abstaining from eating certain foods or even abstaining from eating for a particular period of time. And you can see the difference between the two activities. These are two essentially different acts. So eating while actively throwing it up to prevent the achievement of nutrition would be akin to contraception. Abstaining from the act of eating for a period of time, maybe I have to go give a talk and I don't like to eat before I give a talk because you know what? That's not a pretty sight. There is no perversion of the act of eating there. And my reasons are justified. And so similarly, that would be akin to natural family planning. And now, here's a resource for you, and then I'll get your feedback. Maybe, Si, I'll take your lead on this. I wrote an article at Catholic.com that deals with this very question. It's called The Natural in Natural Family Planning.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this Catholic Answer, be sure to like, subscribe, and check out our live streams Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific. Or find the episode after on YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, or our Catholic Answers app.